Hello, it's Dale here. After we were in Broome and I got started on a little piece, a lot of people asked me if I'd finished it, so I thought I should do that. So just to recap, you might remember that I wove things. I wove some pre-felts and then other things I wove into my piece were some silk that Jacinta had dyed for me and some Margellin silk and perhaps some velvet, but also a silk rod, whatever I had in my bag that I took up with me. So one of the things about the Margellin is it's got a nice little texture. And then I stitched it all down with a fine, it's a single strand from a 6-strand silk up and down the bottom just to make my little piece. Then I've started working around the outside to trim it up, and that's how I like to do it, although it could be okay to leave some of the raw edge. And then I decided to do some boab trees, and these I had cut with my soldering iron from Evelyn. And I'll just tell you a little bit about the Evelyn in case you've forgotten. I can't remember if I've done this before. Evelyn is a polymer fabric which is fabulous for colouring. It comes white for colouring, stitching, machine, carving with your knife, soldering iron, and layering it, using it for layers. This is another one. I've stamped on it with the numbers and things like that. And I thought I'd show you a couple of other things that I've done with it. This is Evelyn. I've painted, it's got stamps and a bit of layering and stuff. You can see the fibres in the fabric, that's the back side. What it does is, it's just so nice to work with. I've seen some wonderful work done with it, but I've put foils in places. And I've also, this one here, I've used a stencil and swept on it with some paste and stamped on it, so it just gives a nice raised effect. And we're just mucking around. You'll see that I had used my soldering iron just to cut shapes, mark make in it, and cut edges and things, just playing to see how it works. I've also stamped onto the white, and I colour that at some stage. And then I have also used a stencil. I've sprayed it with, a lot of the times I've sprayed it with my moon glow sprays. It doesn't take dye as well. It's very light coloured when you do that. And this one here is a little bit interesting because I printed on it from a stencil that I had with letters, and I had put that through the inkjet printer because you can print on it very, very easily. And using my soldering iron, I bonded it to the surface, so you can bond things to it. And on the top, I've got black gossamer fuse, which is wonderful for those sorts of shapes. I haven't done anything else, but I have poked a few holes with my soldering iron. Burns up really easily. And as part of this little piece, these boab trees, this is a little book that I made, or this is part of the sample of it, of Broome. And I used, drew a design of a boab tree and scanned it into the machine and printed it out onto the Evelyn. And then I used my soldering iron to adhere it to here so it will bond together. And these were a couple that were left over. The last little thing I did with it was on the Broome page, was to put a second layer, but carve into it all the way, and then use those pieces to stamp. So it's got heaps of potential if you haven't ever used it. But this little one here, I've just decided to running stitch it round, for, like I guess some people call that raw edge applique or something. I'm not very good with those sorts of names. And then I've stitched it on. I've left the tops of the boab free so that they can float, and I will finish stitching right round it, and then I'll continue stitching. I'm using different thicknesses of a silk thread. One of them is silk string, which is beautiful to stitch with, and another one is just my medium silk thread, and this one here is the silk pearl, which has got that lovely twist. You can see it there. And when it's finished, I'll mount it onto a piece of cardie paper and right on the bottom. And if anyone's interested, this little one will be for sale. I don't sell a lot of my work, but I think it's this one I will put up for sale. So email me if you're interested. So I hope that's given you just a few ideas or see how my processes are and where I got to with it. And I'll see you again another time. So have a great week. Bye-bye.